We've got business coach, public speaker, and best-selling author. Got to throw that part because his fourth book is out right now. We got Chris Westfall with us. His book is called Easier. Good to see you, Chris.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, I know you've got your finger on the pulse of this rapidly changing work environment, and your whole quest is to help people make their work life a little easier.
That's right. There's a lot of difficulty and a lot of frustration out there. 7 out of 10 workers right now are looking for side gigs. They're looking for other work. Yeah, and part of that is to beat back inflation, right? But it's also because people are frustrated in the workplace. And Easier is a book about how to turn that frustration into transformation and literally turn your life around, even in the midst of some very difficult circumstances.
So as a business coach, what did you incorporate into this book?
The book is really about my experience as a coach working with others, but also in being coached. And inside this story, it's about a guy who is trying to find what's next. He's frustrated at work, wants to maybe start his own business or just try a little bit harder. He's not really sure. So he hires a coach to help him out. Little does he know that 5 days later, he's about to be fired. And so from this very, very difficult circumstance comes a story of how to find your way in the midst of the mess. And that has been my story of kind of finding my way through this journey called life, but more importantly, putting into easier ways that other people can find their own resources, resourcefulness, and resilience in the midst of difficulty.
Well, that profile of your main character certainly fits the profile of so many right now. What made you want to write it as a story as opposed to chapter 1? This is what you should do.
That's a great question. I started off chapter 1. This is what you should do. And I felt like, I'm like, who am I, Moses, coming down from the mountain with 10 things you need to do? It wasn't the book that I wanted to write. And I decided to challenge myself. I said, what if this is a story? And what if the lessons that come out of the story have to come out of the story? Like I can't bolt some lesson in there, right? It has to be authentic and real. And that's why this book is really, it's the most authentic thing that I've ever written. And it's not just the book that I needed to write, but it's the book that I need to read, because I think Easier is something that we all want to access. But here's the wild thing. Easier always exists. But we don't see it. We look at life and it looks very difficult, but there's an easier way to show up, even in the midst of loss, grief, difficult bosses, tough relationships. There is an easier way. And that was the discovery that I made. And it made the book much more interesting than just a how-to.
Wow, what a statement. Easier always exists. I don't think I've ever thought that. And now I'm going to look for it. I'm going to look for it in the pages of your book. The book is out right now. It's called Easier. We can, of course, follow you, Chris Westfall, on your socials. Westfall Online is a great place to find you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right. The book is Easier wherever books are sold. You're watching Today in Nashville.